You just need to repeat 3 words, and money will flow. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you has the power to interrupt every struggle you've had with money. For years, you've been fighting battles that were never outside of you. They were inside your mind. And today, with just 3 words, everything can shift. 3 words that activate abundance. 3 words that unlock opportunities you've been blind to. 3 words that turn money from a chase into a magnet. And by the end of this message, those words will feel like they were written for you. Before we go deeper, ask yourself, have you ever felt like money avoids you, no matter how hard you work? Like you're always one step behind the life you want? Like you're trying, pushing, grinding, and nothing changes? What if the real problem isn't your effort, but your inner command? What if the financial world around you simply reflects the story you repeat within yourself? Stay with me, because once you understand the power of these 3 words, the flow begins. Money doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to certainty. Every person who transforms their finances, every single one, starts by shifting their inner language. Because the subconscious does not follow what you hope for. It follows what you declare. For years, you may have spoken words of lack without even realizing it. I can't afford this, bruh. Money is tight. Things never work out for me, bruh. ND, your subconscious obeyed. But when you choose new words, your life rearranges itself around them. These 3 words are not magic, they're alignment. They are instruction to your mind, your emotions, and your decisions. They tell the world what to bring into your life, Before I give them to you, I want you to understand something very clearly. Money flows to people who speak from identity, not from fear. Because when you affirm who you are, the world responds with opportunities that match it. And here's the truth. Wealth is not earned through hustle alone. It is earned through belief, intention, and boldness. A person who believes money will flow makes different moves. A person who declares wealth takes different risks. A person who repeats the right words walks with a different energy. Now here is your mid-video call to action. If you're ready to shift your life, say I'm ready in your heart right now. Because from this point forward, the old story ends. You're not here by accident. Something greater has brought you here, so you can hear what your future has been waiting for you to say. The 3 words you will begin repeating every morning, every night, every time doubt appears, are simple, powerful, and transformative. These words create inner alignment, dissolve resistance, and open your mind to possibilities you've never considered. Repeat them with intention, and you will notice subtle shifts. Clarity will increase. Confidence will rise. Ideas will appear. People will show up. Doors will open. And suddenly, money will begin to flow effortlessly. Because wealth begins the moment you command your subconscious to align with abundance. It begins the moment you decide that your old life is too small for the person you're becoming. It begins when you speak with the authority of someone who is no longer begging life to change, but declaring it. And when you repeat these 3 words, you are not asking. You are stating a truth that your future will rise to meet. Your financial breakthrough starts with your voice. Your abundance starts with your declaration. Your new life starts right now. Say the words with certainty. Say them with belief. Say them until they become your identity. Because once they do, money won't feel like a struggle anymore. It will feel like a natural consequence of who you are. The mind responds to repeated commands because it is constantly shaping your reality through the beliefs it accepts as true. Every thought you think becomes a seed planted in your subconscious, and the subconscious does not argue, question, or analyze. It simply accepts and obeys. When you repeat something consistently, especially with emotion or intention, you are giving your mind a directive, a command that begins to override old patterns and install new ones. This is why certain people seem naturally confident, naturally successful, naturally lucky. It is not that life favors them, it is that their inner language favors them. They have been repeating empowering beliefs for so long that their mind sees them as normal, expected, and inevitable. When it comes to money, your inner commands play a bigger role than most people realize. Money often follows expectation. If someone believes deeply that opportunities find them, they behave in ways that make it true. They take more chances, speak with more certainty, and move through life with a sense of deserving. But when someone believes money is difficult or scarce, they move cautiously, speak timidly, and unconsciously sabotage their own progress. The mind shapes behavior, and behavior shapes outcome. This is why repeating the right words matters. It resets the mental blueprint that determines the world you experience. Every financial breakthrough has a psychological root. Before someone earns more, they believe they can. Before they ask for a raise, they believe they deserve it. Before they start a business, they believe success is possible. The command inside the mind always comes first. Repetition strengthens that command. If a person repeats negative thoughts, the mind strengthens fear. If a person repeats empowered words, the mind strengthens confidence. Your brain is always training itself, even when you don't notice. The question is, what is it training you for? Lack or abundance, scarcity or opportunity, stress or flow? Once you understand this, you begin to see why repeating powerful words can shift your financial life. It's not magic, it's alignment. The words you repeat shape the emotions you feel. The emotions you feel shape the choices you make. And the choices you make shape the reality you experience. If you repeat words that activate security, abundance, and belief, you begin to feel differently about yourself and your future. Suddenly, you are not approaching life from a place of fear, but from a place of expectancy. You start noticing possibilities you previously ignored. You start saying yes to ideas you once dismissed. You begin behaving like someone who is capable of attracting wealth, and wealth responds to that energy. The subconscious mind hears everything, even the quiet doubts, even the whispered worries. But it also hears the declarations you choose to speak with strength. When you repeat empowering words, you are not trying to convince the world. You are training your inner world. You are telling your mind what to focus on, what to strengthen, what to create. And over time, the mind becomes a magnet for the reality you have been commanding. This is why repetition is powerful. It reprograms your identity, and your identity decides your destiny. 3 simple words can reset your inner narrative and align you with abundance, because words are not just sounds. They are emotional triggers, identity shapers, and energetic instructions that your subconscious listens to constantly. When you speak 3 specific words with repetition and intention, you interrupt the old dialogue running inside your mind. Most people don't realize they are living according to an internal script they never chose. They inherited beliefs from parents, society, struggles, and past disappointments. These beliefs form a narrative like, I'm not lucky, money is hard, I never get ahead, or I'm always struggling. That narrative becomes the filter through which you interpret life, and eventually, your experiences start aligning with those beliefs. 3 powerful words work because they act as a reset button. They replace the automatic dialogue of fear with a deliberate declaration of abundance. The moment you repeat new words, your brain starts creating new associations. Instead of linking money to stress or scarcity, it begins linking it to flow, possibility, and ease. Your subconscious mind is impressionable. It takes your repeated words as truth. And once it accepts something as truth, it seeks evidence to support it. That's why repetition is essential. Repeating 3 simple, powerful words consistently begins to create a new identity within you, one that sees wealth not as something distant, but as something natural. When you speak these words, you activate a shift in your energy and emotional state. Emotions create momentum. If you repeat words that make you feel powerless, your actions become small and hesitant. But if you repeat words that make you feel abundant, your actions expand, your decisions sharpen, and your confidence grows. You begin noticing opportunities you once overlooked because your mind was too focused on fear. You start trusting your ideas more, speaking with more certainty, and taking steps you previously wouldn't have dared to take. These small shifts compound into major financial changes. 3 words also simplify the process. Many people get overwhelmed by complex affirmations or long routines. But the mind responds best to simplicity and clarity. 3 words are easy to remember, easy to repeat, and easy to internalize. They become a mantra, a grounding force that brings you back into alignment whenever fear or doubt tries to take over. In stressful moments, your old narrative tries to return, but the repetition of your 3 chosen words serves as a mental anchor. It keeps you focused on your new direction instead of slipping back into old patterns. Another reason these words work is because they create emotional consistency. Wealth is not built in chaotic, scattered states of mind. It grows when you are steady, confident, and mentally aligned with what you want. Repeating the same 3 words every day stabilizes your emotional frequency. When your feelings become consistent, your actions become consistent. And consistent actions lead to consistent results. These words eventually move from your lips to your mind, and from your mind to your identity. Once something becomes part of your identity, you no longer try to believe it, you simply live it. You begin operating as someone who expects abundance, who trusts the flow of money, who sees opportunities everywhere. The world around you shifts because your inner world shifted first. And all of this begins with 3 simple words spoken with intention, repetition, and belief. Money flow increases when internal resistance decreases because every outcome in your financial life is influenced by the beliefs, emotions, and expectations that run beneath the surface. Most people think money is only about strategy, hard work, or luck, but the truth is that your inner state determines how easily or how painfully money moves toward you. Internal resistance is made up of doubts, fears, and subconscious beliefs that contradict what you say you want. You may want wealth, but if a part of you believes you don't deserve it, that it's too hard, or that it's not meant for people like you, this inner conflict slows down the flow of abundance. It's like trying to drive with the brakes on. You push forward, but something inside keeps pulling you back. Internal resistance often shows up in small but powerful ways. It can appear as hesitation when an opportunity comes your way, second-guessing your abilities, or feeling uncomfortable when someone offers you something valuable. It can show up as procrastination, self-sabotage, or settling for less than you know you're capable of. These behaviors don't happen because you're lazy or unmotivated. They happen because your subconscious is trying to protect you from a change it believes is unsafe or unfamiliar. The subconscious mind prefers what is predictable, even if it is painful. So if you've lived with financial struggle for years, your mind starts treating struggle as normal, and any attempt to rise creates inner tension. When internal resistance decreases, everything shifts effortlessly. Imagine removing weights from your shoulders that you didn't even realize you were carrying. Money begins to flow not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because you stop blocking your own progress. Opportunities start to look clearer because fear no longer fogs your vision. You take action faster because you're not battling the voice of doubt inside your mind. You begin to attract people, ideas, and situations that match your new level of openness. Money responds to clarity. When you stop resisting abundance, abundance finds its way to you in ways that feel natural instead of forced. Internal resistance decreases when you change the emotional meaning attached to money. Many people carry guilt, fear, or tension around financial success. Some believe money makes people greedy. Others were taught that wanting more is selfish. Some fear losing money, so they avoid earning it. These emotional layers act like invisible walls. But when you begin rewiring these beliefs through repetition, awareness, and intentional affirmation, those walls start to break down. Wealth stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like a possibility. You begin welcoming abundance instead of pushing it away. As resistance lowers, confidence rises. You start making decisions from a place of power instead of fear. You say yes to things that help you grow. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You begin trusting yourself. And trust is one of the strongest forces behind money flow. When you trust your path, your skills, and your worth, your actions carry strength. That strength creates momentum, and momentum attracts results. The truth is that money wants to flow. Life naturally moves toward expansion, but you have to allow it. When your inner world is aligned with abundance, the flow becomes smooth, natural, and almost effortless. Consistent repetition builds emotional certainty, which fuels real-world opportunities because the human mind responds more to what feels true than to what is logically true. You may intellectually understand that you deserve more or that you can achieve wealth, but unless you feel it deeply, your actions will always fall short of your potential. Emotional certainty is what turns ideas into decisions, decisions into actions, and actions into results. And the only way to create that certainty is through repeated reinforcement, speaking the same empowering words until your mind accepts them, believes them, and begins acting according to them. When you repeat a powerful phrase consistently, something remarkable happens. At first, it may feel uncomfortable or unnatural because it goes against years of old beliefs, but with repetition, the emotional weight begins to shift. The words sink deeper. They stop sounding like wishes and start sounding like facts. This is when emotional certainty begins to rise. The mind starts saying, "This is who I am now. This is what I expect. This is what my life is moving toward." That inner shift is more powerful than motivation, because motivation fades, but identity stays. When something becomes your identity, you don't try. You naturally act in alignment with it. Emotional certainty removes hesitation. It makes you take actions you would normally avoid. You speak up more confidently. You make decisions faster. You spot opportunities because your attention is tuned toward growth, not fear. When you believe deeply that money can flow to you, you automatically begin to think in terms of possibilities instead of limitations. You no longer approach every challenge with doubt. You approach it with the belief that success is the default outcome. This is how repetition creates momentum. Consistent repetition also rewires the emotional association you have with money. Many people carry fear around financial decision-making because they were taught that money is dangerous, unstable, or difficult to maintain. When you repeat empowering words every day, those old emotional reactions begin to fade. Instead of feeling stress, when you think about wealth, you feel calmness. Instead of fearing loss, you feel prepared. Instead of thinking wealth is for others, you feel deserving of it. This emotional transformation changes how you behave in real-world situations, how you negotiate, how you invest, how you work, and how you communicate your value. Emotional certainty attracts people as well. Others can sense when you are grounded in your identity. They respond to your self-assurance, your clarity, your tone, and the energy you carry. People trust those who trust themselves. When you speak or act with emotional certainty, you appear confident and reliable. And this opens doors to partnerships, opportunities, financial support, and unexpected paths to success. Another important aspect is that emotional certainty increases resilience. When challenges appear, and they always do, your mind doesn't collapse into panic or self-doubt. The repetition you have practiced becomes your foundation. You automatically return to your inner declaration. Instead of giving up, you adjust and keep going. Instead of seeing obstacles, you see lessons. This resilience is what separates those who eventually break through financially from those who remain stuck. In the end, repetition isn't just about saying the same words. It's about creating a new emotional home inside you, one built on confidence, abundance, and certainty. When your emotions stand behind your beliefs, the world around you begins to shift in your favor. Opportunities that once seemed invisible suddenly appear, and you finally feel aligned with the wealth you've been seeking. Your financial reality follows your dominant inner belief. not your fears, because the subconscious mind is always shaping your life according to what it accepts as true, not what you consciously hope for. Most people spend their lives thinking they can outwork limiting beliefs through effort alone, but effort without aligned belief feels like pushing against a locked door. You may want wealth, dream of success, and crave a life of abundance. But if your dominant belief is "I'm not capable, money is difficult, or nothing ever works for me," then your reality will mirror those beliefs, no matter how hard you try. The subconscious mind is powerful because it operates automatically, influencing your emotions, decisions, habits, and reactions without your awareness. Your fears, doubts, and insecurities may scream loudly in moments of pressure, but they are not what shape your destiny. What truly shapes your life are the beliefs that dominate your inner dialogue on a consistent basis. These could be beliefs picked up from childhood, from painful experiences, or from repeated disappointments. Over time, these become your internal truths. You may consciously wish for more money, but if you subconsciously believe wealth is out of reach, your actions will align with the belief, not the wish. You will unknowingly sabotage opportunities, avoid taking risks, hesitate when you should move, and attach yourself to the familiar patterns of lack because the mind prefers what feels safe over what feels possible. Your dominant belief influences how you see the world. Two people can look at the same situation. One sees a dead end, the other sees an opening. The difference is not intelligence or luck, it's belief. The person whose dominant belief is abundance will notice pathways, solutions, and ideas because their mind is trained to look for them. The person whose dominant belief is lack will only see limitations because that is what their mind is primed to expect. Your belief becomes a lens, and that lens filters your entire life. It also influences your behavior. Someone who deeply believes they can attract money will behave differently without even realizing it. They'll take chances, make bold decisions, approach people confidently, and act with the energy of someone who expects success. That kind of energy draws opportunity. Meanwhile, someone whose dominant belief is fear will move cautiously, speak timidly, doubt their worth, and hesitate in moments that require courage. That kind of energy pushes opportunity away. The gap between these two people is not talent, it is belief. Dominant beliefs also determine what you think you deserve. If you believe you are worthy of wealth, then receiving becomes natural. You won't shrink when something good comes your way. You won't feel guilty for wanting more. You won't settle for less than your potential. People with strong abundance beliefs rise because they allow themselves to rise. But if your dominant belief says you are meant to struggle, you will unconsciously reject abundance even when it's offered. You may dismiss opportunities as not for me, or feel uncomfortable when life seems too good, pulling yourself back to a familiar level of scarcity. Your reality will always match your dominant belief because your mind is constantly shaping your actions, emotions, habits, and choices to remain consistent with the identity you hold. To change your financial life, you don't start with money, you start with belief. When the belief changes, everything else follows. The more you affirm your direction, the faster your actions align with wealth, because your mind needs clarity, repetition, and focus in order to change the way you behave. Every person who has ever transformed their financial life did so not just by learning new skills, but by shifting their inner identity. Affirmation is not about saying positive words, it is about reinforcing a new mental pathway until your mind treats it as the new normal. The direction you repeatedly affirm becomes the direction you naturally move toward. When you keep saying, thinking, and feeling the same intention, whether it's "I attract opportunities," "wealth flows to me," or "I am capable," your brain begins to rewire itself to support that direction. Affirmations create alignment because your mind hates contradiction. If you keep telling yourself one thing but living another, your subconscious tries to resolve the conflict. This is known as cognitive dissonance. When you affirm a certain identity often enough, your mind begins adjusting your behavior to match your new statements. For example, if you keep affirming, I am someone who attracts wealth. Eventually, it becomes uncomfortable to act in ways that reflect scarcity. Your mind pushes you toward choices that support the identity you are reinforcing. This may look like applying for better opportunities, speaking with more confidence, showing up consistently, making smarter decisions, or letting go of habits that keep you stuck. The affirmation comes first, aligned action follows. Affirming your direction also increases emotional alignment. You begin feeling more optimistic, motivated, and grounded. Those emotions influence your behavior. A person who feels hopeful makes very different decisions from someone who feels defeated. Hope leads to courage. Courage leads to action. And action leads to results. The more you affirm where you're going, the more your emotional state shifts to support that direction. This emotional shift is what reduces procrastination, eliminates fear-driven hesitation, and replaces self-doubt with clarity. Emotional alignment shortens the distance between intention and action. Affirmations also sharpen your focus. When you keep repeating a direction, such as financial freedom, business growth, or abundance, your brain begins scanning your environment for opportunities that match that intention. This is known as the reticular activating system, RAACE. It filters information and highlights anything that aligns with what you've been repeatedly affirming. This means ideas, opportunities, solutions, and connections that you would have ignored before suddenly become visible. Your mind becomes more alert and receptive because your repeated affirmation has trained it to search for evidence that supports your intention. When you start seeing opportunities everywhere, you naturally take more action. Another powerful effect is confidence. Repetition builds familiarity, and familiarity reduces fear. The more you affirm your financial direction, the more confident you feel about it. Confidence speeds up action. When you feel ready, you move faster. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop overthinking. You stop waiting for perfect timing. You trust your intuition more and act with greater boldness. This speed is what collapses the time between desire and success. Finally, affirming your direction strengthens your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who is capable, deserving, and prepared for wealth. Identity drives action more powerfully than motivation ever will. When you see yourself as a wealthy person in the making, you behave like one. You make choices that reflect that identity. You treat your time, opportunities, and abilities differently. You rise to the level you repeatedly declare. And when your identity aligns with abundance, your actions naturally follow, and wealth follows your actions. The more you repeat empowered words, the more your subconscious is reprogrammed for prosperity. Because repetition is the mechanism through which the mind accepts new truths and releases old limitations. Your subconscious does not differentiate between imagination, belief, or reality. It responds to patterns and repetition. Every time you consistently speak, think, or feel the same empowering words, your brain begins to treat those words as reality. At first, it may feel awkward or even false because it contradicts years of habitual thinking and deeply ingrained beliefs. But repetition gradually reshapes the neural pathways in your mind, allowing new patterns of thought to become dominant. This is the foundation for transforming your financial life. Because the beliefs that dominate your subconscious ultimately guide your behavior, decisions, and the results you produce. When you repeat words of empowerment about wealth, abundance, or opportunity, you are effectively creating a new identity. You are telling your mind, this is who I am now. This is what I expect. This is the reality I live in. Over time, your subconscious begins to align your perception, emotions, and habits with this identity. You start noticing opportunities you previously ignored because your attention is now tuned to abundance rather than lack. Your energy shifts, your actions expand, and your confidence rises. Repetition acts as a bridge between intention and reality. It makes the intangible tangible in the mind before it becomes tangible in life. Repetition also reinforces emotional certainty. The first time you say a new empowering phrase, Your emotions may not fully align with it. You might doubt it or feel resistance. But each time you repeat it, your mind grows more comfortable with the idea. The emotional weight of doubt lessens, while the feeling of certainty grows stronger. This certainty is crucial because your emotions guide your actions even more than logic. When you feel strongly aligned with a statement, your behavior naturally reflects it. You make choices without hesitation, take decisive action, and navigate challenges with resilience. The repeated words become a foundation of trust in yourself and in the process of wealth creation. Another important aspect of repetition is that it removes limiting beliefs over time. Many people hold invisible barriers that block them from receiving abundance. These can be beliefs like, I don't deserve this, money is hard to earn, or I will never get ahead. Each time you repeat an empowering phrase, you are effectively weakening these old beliefs. Repetition acts like water slowly carving through rock. It gradually reshapes the landscape of your mind. The old negative beliefs lose their grip, and new constructive beliefs take their place. Eventually, your subconscious no longer questions abundance. It accepts it as your natural state. Repetition also creates alignment between thought, word, and action. The more you reinforce prosperity-oriented words, the more your actions automatically match your intentions. You begin to behave like someone who expects wealth, thinks in terms of abundance, and seizes opportunities confidently. This alignment is what transforms mere affirmations into real-world results. When your internal narrative matches your external behavior, momentum builds and your financial goals start manifesting faster and more effortlessly. Ultimately, repeating empowered words is not about wishful thinking. It's about training your mind to become a magnet for prosperity. The more consistently you do it, the more automatic it becomes. Your subconscious takes over, guiding you toward choices, behaviors, and actions that naturally produce abundance. Over time, this repetition doesn't just change your thoughts, it changes your life effortlessly.